probably one of my closest sisters in the faith, sisters in business, sisters in life. She has an incredible team with real estate and mortgage. The one and only Miss Mia McLeod. What is gratitude to you then? How is it different than just saying like, yeah, I'm grateful?
I remember the days you prayed for the things you have, because we could get lost in all the things that we need right now. The market's changing, everything else, what have you. What do you want people to say at your 80th birthday? And that's a question that I will pause and ask myself, especially on tough days. That has helped guide me a lot.
And so for the person listening right now who just she or he does not feel like they're in that place, anything you would just recommend to them from your own personal experience and story?
What really helped me was
all right, leaders, I'm so excited to introduce to you my sister from another mister, as I like to call her, the one and only Miss Mia McLeod. What's up, girl? Go ahead and just be your life.
Oh, excited to be here.
Likewise. All right, y'all, we're going to jump into this conversation, but let me do just a quick bio so you get an introduction into this amazing woman sitting in front of me, in front of you on the screen. So real quick, so Mia is the president and broker owner of McLeod & Associates, an incredible real estate and mortgage firm here in Southern California. And shortly after graduating from UC Berkeley in 2004, also my alma mater, Mia started McLeod & Associates at the age of 22. And then 3 years later, she was honored by the National Association of Realtors, aka NAR, and by Realtor Magazine as a 30 under 30 recipient in 2008. So with nearly 2 decades in the real estate industry and the mortgage industry, Mia's mission is to create raving fans, I love this one, by raising the standard with how we service our real estate and mortgage clients. And moreover, McLeod's core why, so her company's core why and purpose statement is, we strive to care, inspire, and add value to others in everything we do. I love this woman. You're going to love her. Welcome, Mia.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been excited all morning to be here. So thanks for that share.
Yeah, for sure. So a little background. Mia and I have been friends and working together since, I think, 2017. And how we initially met, there's actually someone sitting next to Mia right now who's off camera, and it's her amazing husband, life partner, and business partner, Len. Shout out, Len. Can you give us a little shout from the back?
Woo-hoo. Sorry, might end up coughing.
I love it. So back in 2017, when I first started my coaching practice, Len attended an in-person workshop that I did. And I remember there was this handsome Filipino man sitting in the front, clapping, taking notes vigorously. And right after, he came up to me like a raving fan. I got a little scared. And he goes, "You're amazing. You have to meet my wife." And I was like, "Great. Who are you?" And so he introduced himself to me, introduced me, obviously, to Mia. And here we are now, as of this recording, 7 years later, probably one of my closest sisters in the faith, sisters in business, sisters in life. And I just admire her so much for not only the work she's done in business, but she's got 3 young boys, which we're going to get into that conversation. She has an incredible team with real estate and mortgage. So without further ado, Mia, let's jump into a little bit of your story. If you could just walk me through your journey from maybe kind of what was like growing up for you to now today being a mom of 3 young boys and running multiple businesses.
Well, thank you so much. Yes. I mean, and I just want you came into my life at the perfect time, truly by design, no accident. So I'm so grateful and so blessed for our relationship, our sisterhood. I feel like our lives are very parallel. So it's been a beautiful journey so far. Jumping into a little bit of my journey here, I was born in San Francisco and born and raised by a single mom. And she did whatever she had to do to put food on the table. We didn't have a house, so we lived in one bedroom for many years of my childhood, to the point where I went to 6 different elementary schools. One all the way in New Jersey. That's how volatile that particular chapter of my life was in that season. And even though I was raised by this single mom, I mean, really, I never felt like I needed anything more. She did a remarkable job with showering us with so much love that I really felt like I had everything that I needed as a young child. Even though when I look back now as a mom myself, I'm like, wow, how did she do it? 6 different schools, single mom. It was me and my younger sister, all that stuff. So it's such an inspiring lady, and I'm blessed to call her my mom. Fast forward to college. I went to UC Berkeley, graduated from there, then started the business at the age of 22, McLeod Associates, real estate and mortgage firm, as you mentioned. And we are going to be celebrating our 18th year in business come May. I know. I'm so excited about that. It really has been the gift that keeps on giving. It's really a space that's more than real estate and mortgage. It just keeps giving in so many ways. And I feel so blessed to have had the opportunity and have the opportunity to continue to grow in this space. In addition to that, got married to my best friend, as you mentioned, the hubby who stepped out now, but married my best friend, best decision I ever made. And we have 3 young boys, a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 6-month-old. And motherhood is another gift that really I can't describe it with enough words, but I really believe my boys are teaching me more than I'm teaching them in a lot of ways. So that's a little snapshot of a year. Yeah.
I love it, girl. And I thank you for just walking us through not only the volatile, let's say, childhood and just kind of a snippet of it, but obviously the successes that have come through that. Getting to marry your best friend, having these amazing 3 boys. We got to talk about motherhood at some point in this. But if you would so indulge me, so one of my purposes here with the Ultimate LYFE Podcast is to help those who are watching high performers on the outside, seeing this quote unquote Instagram perfect life, or, the real life, as we call it, and give them an insight into the way you really think through failures, challenges, tough times. Because I think sometimes the misconception is like, oh, well, Mia's got it all put together. But you mentioned growing up wasn't so easy for you. So, even getting into real estate, is that something you always knew you wanted to do? Or were there any moments and I know you often call it defining moments. Were there any defining moments that maybe you could think of right now that it was a tough time in your life or a challenging one, and then how you overcame it and maybe your thought process through that?
Awesome. Well, getting into real estate, I do believe this was the path for me because I didn't grow up with a home particularly. So when my mom finally did get our home out here in Walnut when I was in my teenage years and we finally had our own place, it was almost like my safe place. It was more than a house. It was a place where we can create memories. It was our home where my mom, she was such a busy mom, she could now cook meals for us and have that home cooked meal. So I really do believe this was the path for me, and to be able to serve thousands of families now in my career, it's kind of like coming full circle from my story and now being able to share it with families and their story. So I do trust that entrepreneurial grind, and especially in the real estate space, is the path for me. Now, as far as defining moments and how it looks from the outside and that whole work-life balance thing, there's so many things that I've learned along the way. One, I was grinding it out till midnight, 1 o'clock when I first started for a good how many numbers of years. I was 22. A lot of my friends were doing the Vegas trips. They were driving the fancier cars. No, I was grinding it out midnight, 1 o'clock. And there were heavy days where I would even cry. Why am I doing this? And my friends are out here doing that. And I didn't have a fancy car. I remember showing homes in a beat up Ford Explorer where the air condition didn't even work, and having to pull over because one time it broke down in the middle of a tour while I was showing properties with the family behind me, and I had to hop into their car to finish it up. Thankfully, they still trusted me, and they are clients still to this day. So I appreciate that. But those are really some of the stories. And then as I grew the business, meaning taking on teammates, hiring, I had to really learn a lot because there was a point where we had so much turnover and the culture was not rich. Like, walking in here didn't feel as good. And again, high turnover, very expensive. And I had to stop in my tracks and I had to just say, what is going on? And that was a big defining moment for me as a business person, because I really stopped there and started looking within. what is it that I'm doing? What kind of energy am I putting out there? And that's where I really started looking outside for coaching. You came in again as a perfect time, and a lot of mentors and coaches in my space that really poured into me and also helped with my personal growth and with that turnover. And when I was able to focus on personal growth, that's when the culture got better. That's when turnover stopped, or at least minimal. Yeah, minimal. We have minimal turnover here today, and I'm so blessed to say that. And ultimately, the big umbrella over all of this is really just my faith. My faith and my relationship, the Lord has gotten stronger and stronger year over year. And from that, I feel like that's where I gain my peace and my joy. And when I think about success now versus when I first got into business in my 20s, the definition for me and how it looks is so different. Having that peace and joy is so priceless. Exercising that muscle of gratitude that I get to. I mean, it's not every day do we just wake up and, we're so grateful and that things are rainbows and butterflies. No, but the more we exercise that gratitude muscle and we say we get to do this. I get to be on this podcast today with you, Kamille. Like, I get to drop my kids off at school. I get to work with my husband. We're so blessed. The real estate market right now, particularly, is in a defining moment, I would say. Things are shifting. Things are changing. The way business will be done for real estate professionals is changing as we speak. So there is a lot of fear and a lot of panic right now. And for me, I can honestly say that faith, that peace, and that joy that sits within, and exercising that gratitude muscle truly is what has helped so much. And I'm so grateful for it, because I remind myself, like, I had breakfast this morning. I'm going to have lunch with an entrepreneur right after this, and we're going to have some great business conversations. Then I'm going to go pick up my sons from school. Some people across the globe don't even know where they're going to be getting breakfast this morning. And so just the whole gratitude thing has really helped me.
Yes. And you'll have to pardon me if I look down a lot with my little pen, because I'm taking vigorous notes as you're talking, because I'm learning as you speak. And one of the things I heard you say that I really appreciate is I exercise the gratitude muscle. And I absolutely love that, because I think sometimes when people talk about gratitude, peace, love, and joy, they easily can roll their eyes and be like, yeah, be thankful. But you said exercise it like a muscle. Why did you use that phrase? What is gratitude to you then? How is it different than just saying like, yeah, I'm grateful?
Because
go ahead.
Because there was a time in my life where I did not understand the power of gratitude. And I don't think we just wake up a lot of times just grateful. So to your point, like, I don't just want to say it's rainbows and butterflies. Like, there's crummy days. There are days where you're really just not. Like, even look at our kids. They have tantrums. Sometimes you pick them up from school, they're totally in a different mood. So yes, as adults, we have those too. And so for me, exercising it, and the more we exercise it, the more we try to live in that gratitude space, then the muscle becomes easier and easier and easier. And then we naturally already operate from that space. But it does take some intentionality over time. So, for example, we could say, I have to go to the gym. But if you say, well, I get to go to the gym. I have to go to work. I have to drop the kids off at school. No, I get to drop the kids off school. I get to work. I have a beautiful job. Like, just those switches in the I have to versus to I get to. It's so beautiful. And I actually took that from another team member within our space. And it was such a beautiful reminder of how special gratitude is. And I know it could get lost with other, kind of like, peace, love, joy, thankfulness. But it really is such a powerful trait or character. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's beautiful, Mia, because I think that's the big shift in mindset for a lot of folks, that if you can understand these terms that people sometimes just, let's say, push to the side, peace, love, joy seems so fluffy.
That's it, yeah.
It's because you're not recognizing the power behind them, to your point, especially when we're feeling powerless. So you mentioned something very interesting. as we record this, it's spring of 2024. You said real time, the real estate industry is going through a lot of changes. Is that right?
Yes.
And you said lots of fear. Can you speak just a little bit to maybe what is the fear you're seeing in your industry? Maybe you're hearing it from your teammates or you're seeing it from others. And how are you looking at it from an opportunistic standpoint? Because it sounds to me like, yeah, there's fear there, but there's also opportunity. So I'd love to kind of hear from you a little bit. What are your thoughts on the changes?
Well, you know, back in 2008 with the big crash, 2007, 2008, fundamentally things changed then too, on the loan side particularly, where loan officers then didn't need a specialized license. Like anyone, a real estate agent, as long as they got their real estate agent license, you could do real estate or mortgage. And then we had that mortgage meltdown and everything else. So in 2010, what happened is they changed where all folks that need to do loans needed to get an NMLS, needed to get a separate license. Back then, that caused a lot of fear. Everyone was questioning, oh my goodness, there's not going to be any more work for mortgage professionals and what have you. In turn, how I felt and what I saw is that for those that ended up going and getting the right licenses, it worked out in our favor because it weeded out those that didn't take this business seriously. And we were dealing with those that really wanted to take this as a career. They really did what they had to do, and the quality of service and everything. And just for the mortgage industry in general, I felt like it elevated us. So right now we're in the middle of, what is it going to look like? We don't have all the answers. Very similar. We didn't know how the climate was going to look back in 2010 with this new licensing requirement. Right now, we're dealing with a lot of settlements, lawsuits on the top level, national level, and we're going through it day by day. And we truly don't know exactly how this is going to affect the climate by next year. We don't know exactly. But what I do know is, and what I do believe is that it's going to eliminate the ones that aren't going to take this business as serious, who's not doing it as serious, and it's really going to elevate those that step into it. And that's what I'm excited for the opportunities for those of us that are going to lean into it, regardless of what happens on the national level and with these settlements. And that's been my experience in the past too. Going back to a little bit about our conversation, which may relate to this topic here, is gratitude piece, bringing a little bit of the personal stuff. Something that does help me is there's that saying, and hopefully I can remember here, but remember the days you prayed for the things you have today. Remember the times you prayed for the things you have today, because we could get lost in all the things that we need right now. The market's changing, everything else, what have you. But for me, even taking it down to personal life, like before I had my 3 boys, I had 2 miscarriages. And that was so heartbreaking. And I would pray every day, oh Lord, I hope I can have a baby. I could get, all these things. And I just prayed for one. And here I am 3 boys later. You know what I mean? Like, really, it's like, I prayed, and work-wise, I prayed for this team. Our culture today is absolutely inspiring. It's a light. I love walking in here. We've got people on the team that've been with us for a decade, 15 years. It's a very high, rich culture. It is work family, 1,000%. And I am so proud of what we've built here. It's an amazing place to be. And so I've prayed again. Back, I talked about the defining moments of turnover and really having to work at that and work within and grow our leadership and having those hard conversations and putting the effort into who do we need to be today. And now we prayed for this team and it's here. We prayed for that family. I prayed for it and it's here. And so it's absolutely beautiful.
And what you're speaking to is such another powerful tool in this gratitude perspective that you have, which I'm just going to dub it here. I'm kind of taking from what you're saying and making it a summary, but it's perspective from the past, right? Because when you're talking about, I look back on what I've been through. For example, you said the things that I have prayed for is my life today. And the fact that you're willing to reflect and look back on, there was one point where the pregnancy didn't go through twice for you. And thank you for sharing that story, by the way. That's a whole nother podcast, girl, and just how to overcome those moments. Because for you to maintain the faith and the outlook and the hope that sometimes people can feel hopeless very quickly, right? And it wasn't just one miscarriage. Like you said, you had two. And then now you have an abundance of three boys running around all the time. But to your point, you could easily look at that. And it's not that you don't have frustrating moments, but it's like, and yet I also was at a point in my life where I was hoping for one of y'all and I got three of y'all. Like, how beautiful. So very quickly, that frustrating moment that you could just dwell in and ruin the whole day turns into this bright light of, well, I asked for this. This amazing bunch of boys. And I thank you for that, because I think someone listening today needed to hear that maybe they were just stuck in the crumminess of this moment or this situation. And to maybe look back that, hey, your life 3 years ago, 30 years ago, maybe even 3 days ago, how different is it today than it was then? So thank you for that. And then, so you talked a little bit now about how you're actually excited because from what you've also seen in the past, so to use perspective from the past again, back in 2008 and in 2010, you also didn't really know what was going to happen, but it weeded out those who were taking the business seriously. And so now it's like, it's the same banana kind of, where we don't know what's going to happen, but I know it will weed out those who aren't taking it seriously. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I see that in how seriously you've taken the business, which kind of leads me into, I wanted to tap into more of leadership a little bit, if you're okay with stepping into that conversation.
Yeah.
So you mentioned before lots of turnover, and instead of saying, well, what's wrong with realtors? What's wrong with our industry? You started looking at yourself. You went within. What did that mean? And what did you start to do?
Well, I know. Back then, I used to think, like, when you run your business and even your relationship with your team, like, you have to keep that boss and that kind of like that space between you and your teammate or your staff or whatever you want to call it, right? And so I tried to keep that space. I didn't feel comfortable saying I love you or what have you. And I would do those things on purpose. But over time, it's like I wasn't living my true, authentic leadership. Because I think a lot of what the world says is, don't get too close to your employees. Don't get too close. Like, there's a lot of that in the world. And it went against my natural DNA, really, just who Mia is. And when I finally took ownership of my true leadership style, which is just, I love you, and just saying that and not saying, oh, you're not allowed to say that. You don't really do that in the workplace. When I just started to lead my true, authentic space, I felt that's when the doors opened for me. Energy felt better too. So every general meeting I start, all last year, I opened up our general meetings with, hey, I love your team. And now I'm adding this year, not only do I say I love you, but I also say thank you all the time. And, and that's my style. So when we talk about leadership style, that's me. I'm kind of mama bearish in my leadership style. I feel like the team, there's kind of like a little bit of a running joke, and that I'm a little bit of a mama bear around here. So I would say that's really my natural leadership style. Mama bear, I love you, that kind of vibe.
Yeah, I love that. And you said, this statement I got to take, and I'm going to turn this into a quote. When I took ownership of my own leadership style, that's when everything changed for me. What do you think stopped you from maybe taking ownership of that? You're just authentic, sense of self.
What stopped me? I think I felt like I had to go by a certain book, and then I would. That's why who you mentor with is also very important. Who your coaches is also very important. So I think early on, some of the people that I leaned in on for advice had that whole keep that space, don't get too close, gave me some of that advice. So I also want to say who you coach with, who you mentor with is really, really important. So when you came around and some of the coaches that came around at a certain time, it really helped me take ownership of just being my authentic self. Like, you know what? Mia is the one that says, I love you. I am an affectionate leader type team leader. I am. Mm-hmm. That's who I am. And it's true to me.
Yeah. And so this is what I call the success squad, and why it's so important. Jim Rohn dubs it as you start to become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I think that there's the default version of that. So maybe just like who you happen to have there without thinking about it too much. And
Yeah.
there's the design version. And I want to get into your philosophy on designing your life, because this is something that you write about. But when you start designing your success squad, choosing the coaches, the mentors, the people that you want around you, like you said, it almost brings out this side of you that's even better than it was before. Was that the case for you when you started changing some of the coaches and the mentors around you?
Yes, absolutely. That's why I say, Coach, you come in at the perfect time for me. I prayed. I already knew and I felt during that time that I needed it. And so I really prayed along with the hubby, like, okay, I can sense in my gut, we need a different coach. I felt it. And, it was, and through time, you came, you showed up, and a few other folks that were meant for us showed up, and it was just perfect. So Success Squad, to go to that, I am a true believer of the 5 too. It's absolutely beautiful. So I've had the blessing of having very successful entrepreneurs that run multiple businesses, that acquire a lot of real estate. I've got a lot of great attorneys that really talk about generational wealth and teaching us in all different aspects. So I love all of that. So very blessed for that. And one thing that I see is not just a lot of them. I love the humility. That's what actually stands out for those that I'm really drawn to. Is I love the humility that they encompass, even though they have a lot, right? They don't talk about it, and how they show up, who they are, is what is so inspiring to me. Sometimes some of them will just text me, like when I'm pregnant, how are you feeling? Just showing up. When I go to a fundraiser event, they're so quiet, yet they'll put like $100,000 down and just donate to these great causes. And they'll just move and add value in that way without actually even talking about the money piece of it. And I just find that so inspiring. But now I gotta say, Coach Kamille, even beyond like the top 5 people in your success squad, I'm really inspired by who we need to be. And let me just give you an example. My husband is someone that is front and center to me as definitely one of the core people in my life, as someone who's truly successful. And the reason I believe he is so successful is because of how he is and how he shows up to me. He has reached a level of success that is very difficult to get to. And I'm just speaking from my seat. And the reason is, it's how he makes people feel when he walks into a room. It's how he is as a father to the kids. They are so blessed to have him. Oh, they have no idea that they hit the lottery just by truly, like, they have no idea. It's, again, how he makes people feel, how he shows up for people in his life. And a great example of that is he's the youngest of 5 siblings. And what I love about watching them is when one sibling is down, needs support, all 5 of them within seconds show up. What do you need? No criticism, nothing but encouragement. They only support and uplift each other, no judgment, and they are there for each other. There's 5 of them. They are there for each other within seconds. If I could get my boy there, that level of success, I would have, I will be dancing all the way up. That kind of success to me is it's a different level. Because I used to really think it's money based. And when I got to I need to acquire this many properties. I need to have this much. And it's great to be ambitious. I am a very ambitious person, and I'm proud of that. But as I grow through this entrepreneurial journey, that being and really understanding what is success, what does that look like, is a question that I'm constantly asking myself. And a good question that I learned from another coach was like, what do you want people to say at your 80th birthday? And that's a question that I will pause and ask myself, especially on tough days, and to realign myself on those days is like, am I operating? Am I in the space of how I would like people to share? If I were 80 years old, my 80th birthday, am I operating in that space right now? And that has helped guide me a lot. And so Success Squad, absolutely. I've got my that core group, and it's been a blessing. But it's for me, it's transitioning even into really, who do we need to be? How are we showing? Yeah.
Girl, my heart is exploding as you're talking right now. And the reason is because not only am I resonating with everything that you're saying, but I'm just so excited for the person listening who gets to meet you, because this is why I call you my sister from another mister. So similar to you, I grew up in a single household. I'm the only child of my mother and father. I do have half brothers and sisters, and I'm also the ate on my mom's side of the family. So I'm the eldest cousin of all boys. So, oh, by the way, for those of you who don't know, I apologize. Ate means big sister in Tagalog or Filipino. So, but, you know, to have you as sort of like my ate, my big sister, hearing you speak is not only inspiring, you keep it real. And I want to drive home this point because I haven't heard anybody say it this way. And thanks for using Len, your amazing husband, as an example. Success is who you are at the end of the day, right? The definition of it you're talking about is the character, the values that define him and you or anyone else. And specifically, you even talked about how Len makes people feel, which is so fascinating to me because you're absolutely right. It shows it's almost like the fruits of his labor are poured out in that way. Like that's the result of it. Like, you know, he's a successful person because he has the ability to make everybody in the room feel in a positive way, something very genuine, very hopeful, very joy-filled. And I know, Len, it's not from a place of flattery or he's just trying to placate to you. It's almost like an overflow of his own joy. Yeah. Like he knows he's so blessed in his life. He has no choice but to just share it all with you because he can't hold it all himself. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. And that when I talked about peace and joy earlier, the one thing I think to add on there is that when you are full of peace and joy, you get to share that. And that sharing is priceless. And you can imagine all the peace and joy that comes back because you're constantly sharing. So it's this constant peace, joy cycle. That's led to, I mean, that is my husband. Absolutely.
So let me pull this from, right? You're this ambitious, elite entrepreneur, 3 young boys, amazing husband. Again, you've gone through your trials and tribulations and you continue to go through them. And so for the person listening right now who just she or he does not feel like they're in that place, they're just like, I am in a rut. I am trying my best. I want to get to that level. I want to get to Mia's level. I want to feel that peace, love, and joy, but I don't even know where to begin. I'm just curious, from your gut right now, what would you advise them? Like if you were to be able to sit down with them, this is your mama bear leadership side, right? And you're just patting them on the shoulder. And they can't get out of this funk. And they're also an entrepreneur. They've also got a busy family life and they're just overwhelmed with everything. Any first steps or anything you would just recommend to them from your own personal experience and story as well?
Yes. Well, for one, trust that it's a season. Nothing lasts forever. And that is a true statement. I mean, even raised by a single mom, I mean, there were times where even Christmas was very heavy at times because single mom, we didn't have much, right? So trust that it's just a season. And when we're up there, sometimes it doesn't stay up there. When we're down here, it doesn't stay down there. So the seasons, give yourself grace on these seasons and know that through all of it, wisdom is coming in. We're learning. So when we have failures, when we have setbacks, when we have seasons, there's good wisdom that's coming in that's going to help us thrive in the next season. Another thing that truly has helped me is really figuring out why. Why did you get into this business? Why do you want to become an entrepreneur? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do that? That was one of the things I did not understand early in my business career, but really solidifying and really taking the time to set out, what is my purpose statement? And that could take time. You may not know it overnight, but just being intentional with really coming up with a purpose statement and knowing what your core values are, whether you run a business or just for yourself. So when those seasons come, when those tough days come, you go back to your why statement, you go back to your core values. And that really does help because when I didn't have it, everything was chaos. But now when the team, for example, is misaligned or if there are disagreements or if we're in a season, we can easily pull back our purpose statement and look at our core values and go, okay, this is why I got through this. I know today's a rough day. Things aren't going as planned, but my why is what's going to realign me. And it kind of gets you back into that space of motivation, inspiration, all of that. And again, going back to just trusting that everything is a season. It really is.
Yeah. And so I want to reiterate for the person listening, thank you, Mia. She's telling you 3 things here. Number 1, trust that it is a season, my friend. This is not forever. Number 2, wisdom is coming through for you in this season. That if you can, I know while it's hard, maybe take a breath and then just ask, what are the lessons learned? What is coming through? Maybe some patterns that you're noticing. And number 3, Mia, you said here, take some time and figure out why. Why are you in this business? Why are you pursuing this career? What is your purpose statement and your core values? And don't expect that answer to come overnight. It's okay, but begin the process of inquiring. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Beautiful. Thank you, girl. And I appreciate you because I know that sometimes the folks listen to these podcasts, we listen for information, maybe helpful tips. But I think the important part too is real-time encouragement, right? These stories are not just for me to highlight me or highlight anybody else on this podcast, but hopefully you can hear a big sister, a big brother, a good friend, a mentor speaking to you directly with whatever it is you're going through right now. This is just their experience, but it may resonate with you. So thank you for that. And the other one, you touched on this, so you beat me to the question. One of the primary questions, because this is a powerful tool as well, other than gratitude, the quality of the questions changes the quality of our life, right? And thank you for the gift of this question. What do you want people to say at your 80th birthday?
Yes. It has really helped me a lot. That one question has helped me so much. What do I want people to say about me at my 80th birthday? Not that I made a whole lot of money, that I sold 1,000 homes, that, that's not really, that's not what it's about. I would like to know, hey, Mia made me feel this way. She showed up for me. This is how she was for me. And am I operating in that? So that's a question that helps me a lot today.
Beautiful. So there's 2 more things that I would love to ask you. If you still got time, you good with that?
Yes, this is so fun.
Okay, good. And I think it'll be the first of many conversations with Mia. So we might extract something and then go deeper on another podcast. But a very tactical thing. So it's just for those who like coaching as well. Any favorite books, podcasts, or resources that have just stuck with you throughout the years? Anything you can recommend?
Okay, so right now, I'm into Connected to Goodness by David Meltzer. I'm on chapter 4. I'm really soaking that in right now. It's so good. So that's what book I'm into right now. But many years back, what really helped me was Start With Why by Simon Sinek, because I did not have a why statement. I did not have the core, but I didn't have that to help guide the team and guide myself. So Start With Why by Simon Sinek and Failing Forward by John Maxwell. Just getting into that, understanding that failure is part of this. The more we fail, the more we win. It's all part of it. So those 2 were really helpful in my entrepreneurial journey.
Thank you. So powerful. So again, Connected to Goodness by who? Well, we'll put it in the notes as well.
David Meltzer.
David Meltzer. Okay.
Yep, David Meltzer. Yeah.
Great. And then we've got Start With Why by Simon Sinek and Failing Forward by John Maxwell. Awesome. All right, girl. So my last question for you, and it's a little bit more general, but, if you could leave the listener with any key message, either from your entrepreneurial journey, faith, family life, maybe all 3 of it, what is the core message that you feel like you just want to share with the world through the life that you live? What do you feel like that main story, statement, aha is for you, that probably similar to how I want people to think of me my 80th birthday? If there could be like a brand, a word associated with Mia, what do you feel like that message is that you want your life to really be about?
Thank you so much. And I, we talked on and touched on a few things here, and not to go back to just gratitude, but that I do believe it's such an underrated muscle. So I'm going to hit on that, just really exercising that muscle because it's so powerful. Going back to Success Squad, one thing I didn't even mention too was even part of that Success Squad is even the church space for me. People think Success Squad sometimes needs to be a certain person that's doing really well or what have you. But church has been part of that Success Squad for me because the messaging that comes in on Sunday, it's like free coaching. So I always say, it's like free coaching. It's so beautiful. So I just want to pound on that. a little bit more. And going back to the 80th, it's just that's who do we need to be? Who are we today? How are we showing up? How are we making people feel? Those are all things that definitely resonate with me. And on leadership style, your true, authentic leadership style is the best way to lead. If you want to say I love you, say I love you. It's okay.
Yes.
Sorry, that's like a big answer to your question.
No.
But yeah, bringing that all in. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And there definitely is not one. So again, the way my mind works, I want to summarize it as best I can. Please let me know if I missed anything. But one of the big takeaways from today that I'm hearing is, number one, you must exercise the muscle of gratitude. Like, this is not a recommendation. It is a command. Like,
yeah,
do it. Like, if you want to make turn failure into opportunity and into this incredible life that you and Len get to live with the boys, it sounds like gratitude as a core center. And then obviously part of that too is your faith. So you talked about the church space, that this success squad, this community of faith, like you said, is free coaching every single week, but on the deepest possible level. Especially you and I, we share that in common. And so really taking our directives from above, so that we could serve here below.
Right.
So
yeah, that's beautifully said.
Yeah, I get that, girl. And then I love this one, going back to the 80th birthday, just knowing, again, your why and your core values, and letting that be a guiding post in all that you do. So again, when you're hitting those times where the winds take you to and fro, you have these anchors to throw down, and you just don't feel so chaotic, which I think a lot of us tend to feel that way when change happens, like that's happening right now in your industry. So awesome. All right, Mama, did I miss anything from?
No, I want to let you know that I love you. And I want to say thank you.
Yes.
Love you,
I
sister.
love you.
I'm grateful for you. And thank you so much for the time today.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, y'all. Mia McLeod, my sister from another mister. Thank you for your time. And I'll see y'all next time. Take care. Keep leading from love. Peace.